chaps, I will have to say, won the award for about the shortest time between seeing the suggestion and me saying, yes, I think that would be a really great idea. And that is going to be this talk on ISO9000 and LabVIEW. And to introduce our speaker and tell a little bit more about it, Steve, is our old buddy, Christopher.
Hold your applause till the end, I guess. ISO9000 is in any kind of traceability, really, in regulated industries, is a topic that's very close to my heart, for better or for worse at times. I'm sure in Stephen's presentation, one of the things that you will learn is most important is a pragmatic approach to it. Too many people do too much or too little, and get bogged down in that kind of stuff. And there's no one better that I think in the LabVIEW world to talk about something like this in a pragmatic and a practical way than my mate Steve. Oh, I know, right? Stephen Watts, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. Oh, no. All right.
Hello. Oh yes, contact details. I'm going to whip through quite a few slides because it's getting a bit warm and cosy in here. So the more boring ones you can go and look and Google and stuff. So I'll tell you which ones they are. So this is me. Co-wrote that. Been an Alliance partner 16 years. Do a lot of use group stuff. Done some presentations. Find the video for that. I like that presentation. Ooh, love story. So the agenda is what is ISO9000, why bother, what is a good software process. I didn't change that, but fitting your process into ISO9000 is kind of how a good software process fits into ISO9000. Because hopefully we all have a good software process. What's left and what's it cost? So, do a bit of interaction.
Hello. Keep going, don't mind it. They don't see me.
Right. Just to make, because it's afternoon, it's warm, we've had dinner and all that. So hands up, who works for a company who has ISO9000? Okay. Who works for a large company that has ISO9000? Who works for a large company that ISO9000 and their LabVIEW process is kind of not done to the ISO9000? I've always found LabVIEW because they don't regard, non-LabVIEw people don't regard it as software. The software quality standards people kind of don't look at you. So, but small systems integrators who, right, you can all go to sleep now, so lovely. I was going to talk about this, but essentially the history of it came out of the Second World War. All the different countries got together and none of their stuff worked. So they thought perhaps it was going to extend and make our stuff work together. It's a series of standards of quality assurance. But essentially, it's say what you do it. So record what is done, improve based on results. That's it. And what it is, all the bits, you have a quality management system, you assign management responsibility, you do resource management, you do product realisation, you do measurement, analysis and improvement. Right, that's the boring bit, you can go and look all that up. I'm not going to say. Okay. Ah! You did make it worse. Hello. Huh?
Stand up. Be here all week, please. Take my walk.
Oh, no, that's quite good actually. I'll get that. That's all right. So you're on. Right. So this is the. That doesn't sound like this one. You're on. Oh. Good. So this is number certifications. This is the number of. Oh, we've got to be right close, haven't we? I don't get used to this. This is the number of certifications that you have gone on in the world. It's got a bit flat actually, but that's 1 million odd, which is a lot of certifications. It's viral. So companies that are ISO 9000 certified, like other companies that are ISO 9000 certified. Scam! A ghost in the room. In America, ISO 9000 is not quite as taken up as in Europe. So, but this is the ISO 9000 World Conference in Florida, 2016, and this is a list of the companies that were there. And I would suggest that's quite a good list of companies to go looking for work for. So, again, getting ISO 9000 is quite a good thing. So, and there's some interesting facts. If you look on the list, this is the kind of thing I do of an evening. If you look on the Alliance network, if you go to a European Alliance members, pretty much all the gold and all the silvers and all the platinums, is 99%, have all got ISO 9000. Here, it's about 20-30. Yeah, is it ANSI or something like that? Yeah, I did a sweep of the front pages and the pages of people's websites, and it wasn't declared. That was how I did it. That was my research. So there's an opportunity to expand. So I'll give you a personal story about it. So we're 2 years into the process, really. And I've got a very nice company that paid me to get it done. They paid me to get it done because they didn't want to audit me, because it's a pain in their butts. They needed to audit me because all the health protection people would audit them if they didn't audit me. So it's much easier for them to pay them to get it done. But what it has done for us is it allows us to get onto purchasing systems, which are becoming very common. And these are procurement systems. And you get on those, and you get customers that come straight to you, essentially. So from this came this and this. So it's been a reasonable investment, to be quite honest. It also, for us, it helped us. I mean, we already had a pretty robust software process because, I mean, we do fixed price software. So if it isn't robust, you know, you kind of go skin. So it's all there. A lot of the processes and procedures are there. And I'll show you the way. I'll go through it all in a minute. The actual procedures we use and how they fit in. So it's a good foundation for sort of expansion. It's been as well, because you have to have these procedures to employ people. Really, it makes it much easier to employ people just because you have a set of standards for them to work to. So, what is a good software process? I love this line. I'd marry it, I think, if I could. Every successful venture in a changing world requires both agility and discipline. So what I found, having come out of aerospace, that they don't do ISO 9000 all wrong. They go, oh, let's write everything down, every single thing from the moment you step through the door to the moment you go home is all written down. You have procedures. Nothing can bend out of that way. Well, ISO 9000 doesn't say that. It just says, say what to do, what you're going to do. You know, it just says, say what you do, do what you do. So it's not actually that hard, because if you say you're going to work in a flexible way, work in a flexible way. So that's my DFD diagram of money and customer needs and finished project. So the bit in the middle is the actual interesting bit. So expanding that out. A good software process involves a software team, customer input, version management, project management, document management, reviews, requirements and issue tracking. That's pretty much most of our processes laid out. You can put testing in there if you wish, but that generally comes back with customer feedback. So, version management, we use Subversion. LabVIEW in the middle. Load of documents, not a great deal, we've probably got about 20 documents. Document management, how you generate those documents, you can save an awful lot of time. So we use open document format, and I'll be showing you a bit about that. Requirements tracking, you can see Bugzilla there, and everyone goes, oh, I don't like Bugzilla, I don't like the interface. Yeah, but the database is based on, it's fantastic. So nick that, and change the interface, you know, your programs. We use Linux to sort of host all this. So it's all attainable skills, you know, they're all there. So that's kind of our process. Initial inquiry, proposal, order. We always do a quick prototype. We then, if the customer wants to do a factory test, often they don't, they like us on site, but if they do, we have an alpha, a beta, and a full release and a maintenance. And it's a standard kind of procedure. I would imagine everyone's procedure is exactly the same. Now we do beta early, we like to chuck stuff at our customer. I find they're much better testers than we are. So how does it fit in? Go through that one. So, Venn diagram. I was going to do a picture of the world from that TED talk.
Yes.
This is my picture of the world. So, the bits that are outside are the extra bits. Hire consultants to do that. Bits on the inside are where your software process is. Do this yourself. And then you have your team on the outside and whatever languages you tend to use. So, looking at team can be a little bit challenging to get everyone to work the same. Especially if your company consists of 3 gnarly old men who've been writing software for 30 years. And I think quite a lot of, I'd say, systems integrators that fill their teams up with CLAs, all very opinionated, probably find this is quite an accurate graph. It's a bit like trying to get 6 angry giraffes into a box. So, the one thing I will say coming off of this, the way you allay this, the way you solve this problem, is any process you put in has got to be helpful and seamless. I've been putting processes into factories for 30 years now. And at any time where there's one extra bit of work, any time where you've put an extra step in, then people won't do it. After a while. Moment of max term, the other thing, which is try and get your people to work the same way. If you're writing software, it's a huge competitive advantage if you have 6 people that can produce code that they can all look after. So don't, I don't care what methodology you like. Pick one, sit down as a team, work on it, make it the same, code reviews will get you to that point. Keep reviewing each other code, make the standard, and enforce it. So, the other thing you can do is you don't have to write paper. A work instruction can be a video. So here's a quick video, which is... Where's the video? I knew it did that. Hold on. That's why I did the dog video, but I think it's... I'll just restart that because it's... Oh, it's not on that screen. Excuse me, sorry. Trouble using videos. Right, there we go. So, it's got a document number, it's got a version number. I've speeded it up because it's a presentation, actually. It should go a bit slower. So, this is a particular way we have of working, which is to generate our code. So, the seamless enforcement of code. We like action engines. You can all kill me, I don't care. We like action engines. So, this is just a bit of code. Got a user manual. Let's take all the commands. It's all fictional, this. I did this just for this. I would never use Aquaris hardware. That's just awful. But anyway, so there's all the... what I did is I did a scan of the PDF and I took all the commands. And now I've got this little tool which is open, it's out there. If you want to use action engines, go on, shock people. I dare you. It's just a thing that generates it to our standard. So we have a standard, we have color-coded VIs for what they do. You just give it that and it will generate it. But it's not the fact that this is quite clever in the fact it's generating it. It's the fact that it's making life easier but enforcing a standard.
Quick question. What tool do you use to create the video?
The question from the audience was, what tool do I use to create the video? I use I'll show you at the end. Remind me at the end. It's a Resolve, I think. It's very good because you can speed it up, and I found that if you've got whatever videos you do, if you speed it up ×2 when you're presenting, it's much easier. It's not really, I'm really slow. So you can see it's created an action engine framework, and it's all filled in for you, and it's type deft, and it's documented as well, because I don't like documentation, so all that documents is done. So the other thing you can do is just got a quick link there, just to give you a standard VI. And same applies. You have to fill it in before it lets you do it. And there's a music quick VI, so it's all. So we've got two things there. You don't have to do paper. You've got videos. Videos are cool. You just sit there and record your screen and give it a document number, and away you go. And that, the auditors love. Absolutely love that. They just watch the video and say, oh, that's right. It's going so well, right? So, every project we get is different, from the tiny to the big. But because we want to say what we're going to do, we have a project plan. So this is our general template. And essentially, you go delete, 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 delete. This is how we're going to do the project. and it should be, and the customer knows how you're going to do the project. And you're then complying to all these different types of projects you go, because you know, for a week's worth of work you don't need 15 pages of documentation. For, I don't know, laboratory management systems for the nuclear industry, you do. You know, that's the range. It could be anything. There's another quote here, which is another one from the Turner Bowen book. It's a good book, actually. It's Mixing Agile and Discipline, it's called. Very good book, worth a look. We believe that an organisation should have a repository of plug-compatible process assets that can be quickly adopted, arranged and put in place to support a project. And this is what this is just delete the things you don't need. And there are a few mandatory things, but that's about it. So you move on to the document control part. That is a document control database. It's not so hard, you can do it yourself. Generates your numbers. If you talk to me nicely, I'll give you my code, you can do it with my code. But a more interesting thing is open document format. And it's on my blog, there's an ODF toolkit which just generates write files for, say, LibreOffice, but I mean everything really now, and spreadsheets. And it's quite handy because it's embedded in the project. You don't have to load it as a toolkit, and you don't need LibreOffice, you don't need Word, you don't need a report generator toolkit. It will just create a document. So it's quite cool. Oh, no, how do we go? Yeah. So that you can see it in action there. So you create a document, always going to have a unique number. The document type actually is the code, so this is fairly new for us now. We're just making specific code, because I've only just finished the document toolkit probably about 6 months ago. Like that. Well, checklists are cool as well. Project checklist. So that's just created the document. Park it in where it should be parked. In a lot of these videos you're going to see lots of fuzzy blurring. I apologise, but I couldn't be asked to go around with my customers and say, can I use this on video? And there it is, all filled out for you, with the part number and various details. And that's it. So LibreOffice is free, you can stick it all on a CD, distribute it to your customers, it's all, you know, it's easy. Done that yet? Yep. Donk. Donk. So, using the same tool, this is our standard tool, so every program in the company has one of these. You can create a repository. So our repository is up in the cloud, but we control it. It's all we've done is hire a VPS in the cloud, which is ours. So it's just a Linux computer. It could be a Linux computer anyway, but it's just a Linux computer. We got very burned because there was this wonderful tool called CodeSpaces that looked after all your code for you. They set your repositories up there, wikis, bug reporting and everything. It's fantastic. But it wasn't ours, and some hacker came in and deleted it all. And luckily, we were just evaluating it at the time. It wasn't paying because it was almost the perfect tool. So the other thing about these repositories is you want to be backing them up. I'll show you that in a minute. But this fulfills another requirement, which is again document control. It keeps the actual repository outside of your building, which is an important thing. So that's what we do to create a repository. So it's just using plink. So you just so plink is a file-based PuTTY thing for talking to Linux. So all you do is create a temporary file, create a command to create a repository, open the file, put it into PuTTY, and there it is. It's created. It's all quite simple. And the other good thing about having your own repositories is you can set up all your different hooks. So most repository types have this, so you can set up a post-commit hook that sends emails to various people. And the good thing about that is, because you're in control of it, you can share it with your customer. So I can have shared repositories with customers, which is they love that kind of stuff. So that's. And the post-commit hook fires off, we get an email. And that's all the updates and changes in the project.
Have you ever considered using a subscription service or some other third party to do all the repository management?
The story I just said about CodeSpaces was that.
I never heard of CodeSpaces.
They were a repository management company.
And there's other, more reliable companies.
They were a reliable company. They were on the Amazon server.
So you don't trust them.
There's a computer in the cloud is somebody else's computer.
Is this in
And the thing is, you
this
become
is in the server?
this is in the cloud, yeah. Nah, but I'll come on to the backup. I don't trust this one. But if you're a company whose job is to host repositories, you become a target. I'm a company that holds my own repositories. Nobody knows I exist. Who's going to put any effort into hacking me?
Well, we all are.
It doesn't matter because I do backups. Yeah, so Amazon, to be quite honest with you, the Amazon Web Services, it was culpable in the whole thing. So that CodeSpaces had terabytes of data, and this hacker got in, and all this nonsense about we back up in 3 continents, say for it's extra secure. All he did was go delete all backups, and that was it. It's gone. Everything gone. There was no return from that point, And the company who did it, they said, well, okay, we'll turn the lights down, put the cat out and go home, and that was it. Because what else can you do? Because you're liable. All those companies, they're liable for terabytes of data. What is the value of that data? Way more than the 4-man bands in these companies. And that's what they are. Even bigger companies are not that big. So, customer feedback. ISO9000 is really into customer feedback. By doing standard issue tracking on your code, you tick so many boxes here, you pretty much, the auditor will go, cool, that's, you're there. And then you got, the only other thing you got to do is when you sign the project off, you got to do, how was your experience with SSDC? I don't like something like that. So, issue tracking. So, Bugzilla, which is what we use. Oh, look! How to use issue tracking. So, yeah, this is all the blurred bit. We've got quite a few customers. So, essentially, you're going to have a look at all your bugs. So, everything tracks issues. So our documentation, we track issues on it. The project management is a tool, we track issues on it. So everything you do, you can issue track. So people say, oh, I don't like Bugzilla, I don't like the interface. Just do it in LabVIEW then. It's a really nice database. It's ever so easy to talk to, and half the stuff in it you don't need. We can load attachments. A lot of work into that. That's all on the blog. How to do that. I think I did a user group thing. Yeah, that's essentially running the work. Isn't it? Do that? That's all right. There we go. So yeah, the bugs come in. You can do different things to it. So the actual issue was to make this video, so it's a self-perpetuating thing. So again, you can look at other customers and I don't really. The only thing really I don't like about Bugzilla is the term bug, because it's got such a negative connotation. For us, any feedback at all from the customer, it could be just, oh, in the future we may want to use a different oscilloscope. That gets tracked. We track everything.
Is there a distinction between issues and feature requests?
No, we don't. You can do. So I've auto-generated all the issue tracking things. I do a lot of work for the military. The military is a one-way street. You can take paper in and a little bit of paper out, but taking software in and taking software out is frowned upon. So that little bit there, I was just auto-generating something called what we call an issue report, another bit of our documentation. Very handy, especially if you work on all the projects. Run again. Let me see again. So that's the entity relate. The good thing about Bugzilla, and you can use any other, I don't care now, but this is what we use. The good thing about it is that you can set up a virtual machine. You can use turnkey like Linux, which will load you an empty Bugzilla system. You can go, using MySQL, you can go right-click, give me the schema. You can take the schema and actually use it yourself wherever you want. And the other good thing about it is you get all the documentation about what the process is and everything. That's all just come off the Bugzilla site, so you don't have to invest anything in all, making your own process. It's all there. Yeah. I couldn't get the schema. I want the schema. I want it myself. What's that now? What's wrong with Bugzilla? Okay. Oh, what time is it? All right. So the other thing I like is a backup policy. So what you have, your computers that are in the office, you need to back them up outside the office. The computers are outside the office, you need to back them up in the office. Then you're covered by the standard. So that used to involve carrying tape drives around and stuff like that, but that's just a button. I've got this in my own repository, so I just back it all up. It doesn't go this fast, honestly. But essentially, that's the process. You just go, give me a backup, and it's doing all of that. So that backs up our accounts, which is the other thing you need to back up. So if you use an accounts package, that needs to be moved off to your building, so that goes back to the repository. That all my repositories, the Bugzilla database, project management database, all get stored back, and in a format that is their format, so they just zipped up essentially. Because that was the other way I've been quiet in the past. I had a Hewlett-Packard backup drive, and I used to back up religiously. And I went then to restore after something catastrophic happened. I should have done it, but I didn't. So I went back to restore, and it said, "Nah, it doesn't restore in Windows XP. It backs up." Oh. Oh. Sorry. So okay, that's all the fun bits. That's that's all the LabVIEW bits that are really fits into the process. the other things that you will have to do, these are the add-ons, you have to be audited. Now, being audited is really good. You shouldn't ever look at that as negative. Somebody coming in outside and looking at the way you work is a good thing. You have to do management meetings, but essentially they can be management meetings if you want to do it. But there's good things to come out of that because you review your issues, things like that, the things that planning. It's a good reason. Training records, so all your certifications, you need just to keep them in the, it could be a spreadsheet, that's all it needs to be. And then you have continuous improvement. So, this is a bug I've got against myself. It's going to be a long job, but I'm going to do it at some point. What I really want is to be able to set up a project and then go, give me all the mandatory documents, give me the complete, we have a template, so all of our software comes from a central template. Give me that, create all the directory structures, create the repository, send it back, job's good. And I can do all that because I'm doing it all in bits, I just need to tie it all together. So, maybe next year I'll get that done. Time and money, it's taken me a considerable amount of time, but then it took me a considerable amount of time to work with code spaces, and you know, this is all mine. You know? I've got the sort, I can change it how I like. So it's worth that time. And now that the pound is only worth dust, that's probably about 4 cornflakes worth. So everyone should get British consultants over because we're really cheap. Yeah, I did spend the time on it, but a lot of those processes we were using tools anyway, so it was really just making sure that it's fair dues. So the initial audit, you get a registrar in to audit you, and a day's consultancy, about £500, so that's $700. So you're looking at $1,200. It works out. We invest probably, if I don't include my time, we were about £3,000 a year, $4,000 a year. A lot of that is just because I pass that on to my customer. If I didn't do that, I'd probably do a bit more myself. But to be quite honest with you, if a customer insists that you need it, it's billable now. That's my about 4 days of my time now. So the actual investment I'm doing now is to make it even slicker, really, make it more seamless. There's still a bit of moving stuff around. That's it. Any questions, feedback? Perhaps that? Low rhythmic snoring. Dmitry.
Do you do all this stuff with your company, or sometimes you need to integrate with your customer processes?
A lot of this came from a military customer of mine who cottoned on to the fact that LabVIEW was also a quality-based software system, so they applied their standards to it. But it really was pushed back from them. But once you've got a process that does all of these things, you're better off than most of your customers, to be honest. Right? I've not run in, because anything more onerous than that is actually working too hard. That doesn't make your software any better, it just means you're working too hard. You know, I want to do the minimum documentation I can, to be quite honest. I like writing software. No, we're actually ahead of the customers at the moment with that process. I've not found one that hasn't been yet. It may be different in kind of medical or something like flying aerospace or that, but for military, maritime, we're ahead of that. Most industrial. Yeah. So, any other questions?
No. So, only area I can see that Steve is a very relaxed person. As a very relaxed, laid back. How do you find, and it's a loaded question, how do you find a process that works for you? Because what everybody says is like, oh, you're going to be posting processes, you're going to stifle creativity, you're going to get in my way.
That's what the issue tracking's for. You issue tracking, and you code. I mean, code reviews are very good. You sit down. You don't just say something's good because you say it's good. It's good because everyone agrees it's good. You know, you have to, in in a room full of intellectuals, you have to come to an agreement, you know.
But one of the things that you said that in the past is that you take a minimum process that works for you.
Yep.
You don't just go. This is things that people, when they have to get certification from ISO or FDA approval or anything that has to do with audit, people think that they have to have these very complicated processes.
Yeah. Well, I'll say I come out of aerospace, so I used to, you know, I'm used to the very onerous. And actually, what it does, it makes things worse. They're so terrified of breaking their process, they actually break the things they make. You know, it's just all, you know, and it really should. You know, the ISO organisation want it to be helpful. They want it to be useful. They don't want you to spend, you know, time doing stuff you don't want to do, because it will make them less successful.
And is it true? I heard that you passed the audit like on the first try. The guy that audited you said that you had never seen such someone apply.
Yeah, we got a bit of a pat on the back.
Yeah.
I get that every hand. Not very often.
He's from the UK, so I need to.
She does screw us work for me. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So all these process for all the projects against
Yes.
how much of this process is for your own?
Oh, everything. Yeah, no, it's our process. That's our process. So there's issue tracking, there's paperwork associated. The process is a process. So I don't necessarily have to do. Well, yeah, all of that really. But I wouldn't do a project plan for my own internal project, for example, because nobody's going to care. So you only do the bits that people care about. But I mean, the thing I like about the issue tracking is that this is why we go into beta. Is that I don't like requirements documents. I don't like making them. I don't like writing them. I just find the whole thing a pain. So we have a requirements document. The moment I can get out of that and have an issue tracking system, it's just way easier. So the push to give stuff to the customer, you know, the customer quite likes stuff. You give them stuff and say, well, try it. I mean, it depends on your customer, obviously. If you're flying an aeroplane, they probably don't necessarily want that plan, but, you know, it's most, you know, depending on the customer, yeah, it's probably I'll leave it depending on the customer, but quite a lot of the jobs we do, we push out early and we collaborate. I wouldn't use the term it's agile, but it's agile at the end, isn't it? It's not agile all the way through. So, yeah, we'll do the minimum we get away with on that, I think. But it's not something that you're deliberately avoiding doing, you know, it's just... Sir, back.
So you use LabVIEW in a couple different ways here. I know some of this stuff is using LabVIEW tool to generate things that helps you meet this ISO9000 spec.
Yes.
And you have some other things in there where you're actually doing like the templates and actually customizing things that were inside of LabVIEW. Is there anything you kind of touched on here that maybe was not just getting the surface, something maybe unique to LabVIEW that was you found as a software designer that became value added? Though I wasn't doing this before, but in trying to become ISO9000 now, this actually added value to me as the software designer process.
Well, I mean, going back to the been doing it for 30 years, our process, and I would probably say this for, you know, most of you guys, your processes are already probably there for a lot of this. I think the only thing it forced us to do was actually get all of our ducks in a row and get everything lined up. And that tool grew up from, well, the code spaces debacle really, but we weren't ISO 9000 at that time. We were just following what you should do as a software, you know, so we were looking to do that kind of work. But what it did was just make it really easy, because it just fulfilled all of the needs for that big block of work. I think it's 4.2 and 4.3 is the clauses, but it's actually quite a big block. It's a couple of clauses, but it's actually quite a lot of work for a company. It's fitted into those clauses, and that covers a lot of it. So I would say it's helped us centralise our processes. So, you know, my colleague Adrian would do a scope document, but I would do a project plan. And you know, we all did the same document, but we had different names for it, and it's just bringing that together and having a template for that. One of the best pieces of paper I've got there is the project checklist, which is the one I auto-generate, because actually it says, you know, you're doing a project. It's a bit like a little. I noticed you're a little paper clip. You're doing a project. Do you want to? You know, now you should, you know, I'm saying all the way through the quoting. If you're interested, I'll show you. But actually it says, if you give it this type of project number, you do this, you set the repository up, and it's a checklist. So, you know, so we go as far as sort of defining the hierarchy where stuff goes and things like that. Then, you know, when you have a code review, when you have a project design review, so we do, I think we do a post-mortem, a code review and a design review. As a reviewed it, but they're good. Project post-mortem has really changed the way we work. We don't ever let customers see it. We've got a separate repository for post-mortems. Because they're a bit brutal. But you know, all that stuff actually does have value and use. I mean, we for years have never done that. We never, you know, do all these projects. We never sat down and just talked through what went right, what went wrong. And there's just a load of questions. This was you know, did you fulfil the requirements? If not, why not? You know, most of the time, because you're not told the requirements. So. But you know, but all of those things need to be sort of allocated, especially because companies they work the same way. So if you do a project for a company and they don't give you requirements or they give you wrong requirements, you're going to get that in the next project. So these are the useful bits of information that to have next time you look at, we're doing that company. Let's have a look at the last project, see how it went.
How often are you audited?
3 times a year at the moment. We're going we're 2 years in, and I'm just keen to get everything in a row. I think it goes down. The actual registration audit, which is the one that gets you the certification, is yearly. I think after 3 years it then goes to 3 yearly. But don't quote me on that. That's a fact I can look up. But no, it's not. It's a day. I mean, for little companies like us, it's a day. Now, big companies, there's a lot of opportunity to improve in the LabVIEW field with regard to this kind of work. In fact, I probably in a couple of years' time I'm going to offer that kind of thing as a service to, so I mean, big military companies. The way big military companies work is that they have lots of buildings with their own private networks, and lots of people sat in those buildings doing secret stuff, and they don't talk to each other, and they will do it badly. And because it's LabVIEW, the software people don't look at it. So actually, if you go in with a system and say, look, this is how you should run a project, that is good for just to give them issue tracking and version control would be wonderful. But you know, so it's that kind of thing. It's like, there's opportunity from this work. That's the other thing about rolling your own. There's opportunity. Any more? Okay.
You mentioned one of the reasons for as you purchase
Merging is the wrong thing to do always. And it's not just LabVIEW. If you've ever worked on an embedded project where they're doing C, you'll go in there and they'll go, well, you'll be sat there as a LabVIEW programmer, and then all the C programs will come in and merge, and then they'll argue for 2 hours, and they'll point at each other, and then finally they'll get the build to work, and then you can do your bit. So every time, if you're working in that environment with C programmers, always double your time. Because you don't start working until the afternoon. Always. Emergence. We do what we call the subcontract method. So we have somebody who owns the repository, your project, your repository. You want anyone else to do work, you give them the interface. And to be honest, they can email you. They don't have to have access to the repository. They can email it if you want to go to them. It's a bit nice, but you know, it's a very manageable way to write software like that. Again, it's the minimal and the easiest thing to do, which is pretty much my mantra. That's just I'm too old, miserable to do anything harder than it ought.
Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean by email?
Well, if you define the interface, you've got the interface in your thing. So for us, where we use action language quite a lot, we would go, here's an enumerated type with all the things we want SBI to do, here's the inputs, here's the outputs. Hello, mister, here's the device, write it out. So take a power supply, you get that, you get maybe even a little document that you just fill it out, send it back. And then you, as the architect, fit it back into the project. And because you define the interface, it's not really a merge, it's just changing the empty VI for a full. Is that all too simple for everyone? No, you should use Git, and then you should merge everything. That's all right. But at that point, we should. Oh dear. Oh, sorry. You don't really care. Any other questions? Well, thank you for letting me take up your time.